Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to focus on lesson 8. Lesson 8 covers using color in Adobe Illustrator. It has some pretty amazing tools that allow you to work with color in a variety of ways. To give you an idea of what the lesson looks like, this is the start file for lesson 8. It's a two-parter, and then the end file looks like so. Subtle little differences in color, maybe in the mask, in the color of the parka, and a few other little things. The snowboard, color of type, color of the background, and that sort of thing. It's not so much in changing the color, which all of you can do right now. It's giving you tools to do it in a variety of different ways that are more, I think, advanced and a little bit more sophisticated. The other one is this one right here. So for example, if you started with a skateboard deck that you had designed, but you wanted to create a variety of options for the client or give alternate color schemes. There's different ways of doing that. We could pull a color scheme from a bitmap photo. We can also pull a color scheme from vector art. Either way, this one goes very quickly. Another tool that we'll be using too will be allow us to use color in a different way so that we can use it. Hold on here. Using what is called live paint. I think it was originally developed to be used with colorizing for cartoons, that sort of thing, for comic books and stuff. A very quick way of effectively colorizing artwork in a dynamic way. So that's the start file of that. And then the end file for number 2 is, let's look at that. And you can see there's the different color scheme that was pulled off of this color right here, this dinosaur. And you can see different ways of adapting and using the live paint bucket to create these new tools here. Really, really very nice. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about color in general a little bit. I'm going to go back to the start file for lesson 1. And I think it's important to note that there are different color schemes. Oh, before I get talking about that, some of you may have to activate fonts, and that was started early on. I've already activated my fonts. If you can't activate the fonts and you're having trouble with it, don't worry about it. Just switch to another font that works for you. It's not critical. Because in a future exercise, I had trouble myself. It wouldn't allow me to activate a font. So that may happen to you as well through Adobe. So anyway, different color schemes. There are multiple color schemes available to you. We will be using mostly CMYK. That's the default setting. So where you generally start with that is if I start with a new file, like so, right down here under color mode, it gives me CMYK. Now that stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Cyan is blue, magenta is red, yellow, and black in printing terms is a color. So for any 4-color process using offset lithography that you see, like the color images in your textbook, they all used CMYK to develop the color. Another option for you that's used very common is RGB. Okay, so those are your two basic color options. RGB stands for red, green, blue. That, when you're painting with light, so to speak, are your primary colors. So one is additive, one is subtractive. To give you a quick rundown of what CMYK is, it is a subtractive color. So when you see the color red, that means that that particular pigment is absorbing all the other colors of the color spectrum except for red, and that is what is reflected back. When you think in terms of painting with pigments, if you were to take the three primary colors or the primary and secondary colors and mix them all together, you would not get black, but you would get a very dark, dirty kind of brownish color. Okay, so if you were to work with RGB, that's additive color, an additive color process. So if you were to take all the colors of the spectrum, start with the primaries, red, green, blue, and combine them together, you don't get mud, you get white, you get light. So when you're painting with light, so that would be anytime you would want to use RGB would be for the web. If you were using kind of a projecting device to project your image, you would do that. If you were designing for television, RGB. Traditionally, in this class, although we can't print our images now, since we're not meeting in person, we have traditionally used CMYK because everything has been printed. So that's where that goes, and that you can always change, and that's what we'll be doing. We'll be adding some lab colors, which are custom colors that for those of you who have printed t-shirts and things like that, that would also be a different way to go. Okay, so that's where the basic colors go. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to just learn how to take an existing color and we want to swap it out. And then we're going to change, and that's something that everybody can already do. But I don't know if you know how to add colors to your palette to create a custom palette. So that's what we're going to do. Here is the color in this skateboard that we want to change. Okay, so if I either click up here in the fill, you can see that I've already added some colors that we want to do. But what they have asked us to do is we go into the color, the color spectrum down here is probably a little bit hard. So if we can use the color callouts here, it would be best. So you can see that with this one selected, it tells us that it's 50% cyan, 0% magenta, and it's 100% yellow and 0% black. Okay. So what I want to do though is I'm going to switch, and they've told us to create a new custom color. So the one that we're going to create is a light orange. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to switch back here to show you, whoops, hold on here. I don't want, let's go back to here. There we go. So again, it's a 0% cyan, it's 20% yellow or 20% magenta, it's 65% yellow, and then it's 0% black. So that's our light orange. Okay. Now to add that to your color palette, all you have to do is click this little plus sign down here, and it will automatically create a new color swatch. I've already done that. So if I double click here, I go back and when I want to edit the color, let's look at some other features of that. You can name it. I named it, as it asked in the textbook, light orange. You can also, at this point, you can modify the color scheme again. And if my colors are off from the textbook, that's okay. It's just showing us how to do that. The other thing that we want to do is to learn the difference between, because by default, they ask us that we want global colors or local colors. Global colors are a little bit more dynamic. I'm going to leave it. This color right now is global. And I'm going to click OK. And as you can see, I've already added it here. So another thing that you might want to do is that let's go ahead and let's create a local color for skateboard deck. So I'm going to select the deck. And I'm going to come in here with a red. And I'm going to click in here. And I'm going to find a pink, the pink that they had here. So here is the magenta. And I'm going to double click on that to see what that looks like. And you can see that global is not checked for this pink. Okay. Now, how does that affect one affect the other? I'll show you. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this or just click OK because it's a done deal. I could go ahead and I could name that swatch if I want. So let's say I want to save, I'm going to save this pink swatch because I don't think I've saved it up to this point. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and with this color selected, and you can see that the fill is selected in our toolbar. It's selected in our appearance panel over here in the properties panel. If I just click the plus sign right here, okay, it's going to ask me, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to name it pink. Okay, you can name it whatever you want, and I don't want this one to be global. And as soon as I click OK, it was added up here. If I want to add it to my colors, I'm going to click and drag it and put it in the little color folder that I created for that. And you can see that I have that. If you want to move the order of it, you just click and drag it like so, and you can change the order of the colors. Okay. Now, so that's if you want to create a copy of this swatch and you want one of the copies to be global and one to be local, then just simply select the color and click again. And this one is going to be pink global. That's what I'll name this one. So I can tell the difference. The book doesn't tell us to do that, but that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so if I click OK, you can see that there is the difference between the two. Now, the difference between a local color and a global color, notice the little tick mark in the lower right-hand corner. The tick mark in the lower right-hand corner indicates that it is global. If there is no tick mark, then it is local. There's also another kind of color, which are spot colors that we're going to get to. And that's used frequently in silk screening. It's used even in printing to enhance or to add a custom color that you can't otherwise achieve except with a unique special ink. So that would be another option for us. So there are these basic, we're working in CMYK at the moment. Pantone colors are not CMYK, they are unique lab colors. But we have local colors and we have global colors. Now, the difference between the two, I'll deselect this. Deselect, come on, there we go. So what I want to do next is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the background here. Oops, that I want, there we go. No, there we go. I'm selecting this yellow background color. So let's say, for example, I wanted to change the color of that. If I go ahead and I change it from this bright yellow to the global color that I selected here, okay, it's the same light orange that I created for this. So what if I come in here and I change the color of the sky? I'm going to say that's a nice color, but it's not exactly the color that I was looking for. If I go ahead and I double click on that color, the one that I just created, and I decide, you know what, I want it to be kind of a dark blue. So I'm going to add a ton of cyan to this and maybe a little bit of magenta. So we get a really dark blue. Okay, let's click on preview and see what happens. Not only did it change it in the sky, but it changed it in the skateboard deck as well. That's what global colors do. If you change it in one location, it will affect everywhere that that color was used. So I'm going to cancel that, go back, and I'm going to leave that color. So likewise, I can come in here and we can affect type as well. So let me deselect, move this up. And again, I'm going to select the type. I'm going to hold down the shift key and select this type. By default, we have a black color. But if I want to go ahead and I want to select the light orange that we used, we can change the color a little bit. They want us to update it, all of them a little bit, and add a little bit of cyan to this, a value of 3. And since it is a global color, I can come back in here and I can switch from the fill of black. I can add this, and then let's go ahead and double click in here, and it will affect all of them. We'll add 3% to the cyan, and that will affect all of them. If I don't want them to affect all of them, then I would have to create another color. You can see that just change ever so slightly. Okay. So if you want to edit a non-global color, you can always do so. I can select the skateboard deck here, or not the skateboard, but if I select that, I can change it, but it will only change it there, nowhere else. If I want to, another way of doing that is if I select these colors here, I can also add, if I want to bring in the color of the skateboard deck into these little areas here, I can go ahead and I can select the eyedropper tool. So let me go to the eyedropper. Where's the eyedropper? Eyedropper. Come on, come on, come on. There it is, right there. And if I click on here, notice that it added the color. Likewise, I forgot to add the color, that orange color, to the word Washington. So again, even with nothing selected, I can use the eyedropper tool. I can click to suck up the color of the orange. I can hold down the Option key and move over WA and click. But notice what it did. It affected everything. It not only the color, but it affected the size of the type as well. And I didn't want to do that. So again, you need to be careful. And instead, I'll just select it. I'll come back over to my fill and I'll go ahead and I'll select the orange for that. So that's what we're doing. Now, the other thing that we can, other way of editing color is by using what is called a color picker. So the color picker can be found if you double click on the fill swatch or the stroke swatch here in the toolbar. So to do that, if I double click on it, it brings up what is called the color picker. And you can see that right in the middle, we have our spectrum, our basically all the colors in our color wheel, the spectrum of colors. And if I move it up or down, what we want to do is we want to move in the purple range because that's what we're going to do. We're done with the skateboard deck. So let me cancel this for the moment. And let's move over to here because we're going to change. And what we want to do is we want to change this green to the purple. So what I want to add that color to our library. I've already done that, but what I can do now is make sure that this color is selected, or I can do it afterwards. It's not important, but I'm going to double click, bring up the color picker. Okay, let's move this bar up in the purple range. Move this in like so. And if I want, now with Photoshop, now if you are working for on the web and you're designing a website, maybe you want to see only web safe colors, then you click here. And just to let all of you know, there are only 216 colors that are web safe. There are colors that are the same on both the PC and the Mac. So what I'm going to do is that you can randomly pick a color in here like so, or you can see over here that we have different ways of changing color. I can use the HSB, which stands for hue, saturation, and brightness. I can also use RGB. If I'm designing for the web, I can put in a hexadecimal number, which is what I have here, or what we're doing, we're using CMYK. So this is telling me right now with the purple that I have selected, this is the color call out for the color right here. Now in the book, what they want us to do is I'm going to put in 50% for cyan. So I'll put in 50%. Next one, we want 90 for magenta. And we want yellow 5%. And there's the purple that we want to use. And you can see this is our original color green. And here is the new color that we're using right here, which is a nice purple color. So if I click OK, like so, it's changed it and updated it. If I want to add that color to my color book, you just simply click the new color and it will add it. You can see that I've already added it, but I did not make it a global color. I made it a local color. Again, if you want to have both, then you would have to make a duplicate. And then you would have to decide on, that one is global, one is local, if they're the same. So next thing that we're going to do now, I talked about RGB, CMYK. And the next step is we're going to add what are called spot colors. Right? Spot colors were developed quite some time ago, before the computer. And they were designed principally for the print industry. Since you're limited in CMYK to a certain color range, that sometimes there are special colors that you want, that you want nice, beautiful solid colors that don't exist in the CMYK range. So it would cost you a little bit more to use them, but that's what you would be able to do, is you would be able to call them out. So where do you get those? What we want to do is we're going to bring up our swatch panel here. And then you'll notice in the lower left-hand corner, we have the color library. So if I click here, there are a whole bunch of different color libraries from which to choose. And if you want to find ancient colors, Baroque colors, Impressionist colors that they have created for you, you can use those. What we will be using for this exercise is our color books. These are where you find the Pantone colors that I was talking about. The ones that we're interested in down here are the Pantone, and you can see it's CMYK coded. And then one that we want is all the way down here. It's Pantone solid coded. So as soon as I click that, and there's a whole bunch of others that are Pantone colors that are used in printing. They could also be used for skateboard decks and that sort of thing, or t-shirts where you have limited colors available to you. So I'm going to select the solid coded, and as soon as I do, it brings up the little color swatch here. Now, this is the number that the book has asked us to use, okay? It's 7562. If I remove that, okay, these are all the colors in that color spectrum. Okay, they're all unique inks. So I'm going to put that back in there. You need to know in advance, 7562. There's the color. And then if I go ahead and I click on it, you can see that I've already added that to my my color palette. If I just click here, might add it again, did, okay? So there's that brown color. And then when you're done with it, you can close it. I can go ahead here and I can select. And then let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and select. Let's go ahead and select it. So I'm gonna select this one here. And there you go. So this is a unique printed color. Now, if you want to convert this color to CMYK, you can. To do so, you would have to double click on it. All right. You can see that it is a book color. These are lab colors. And if I want to switch, I can go to CMYK. And that's what this is. So if I click here, it will show me if there is any difference, and I can click OK. And as soon as I do, I'm going to switch from color type from spot color to process color. Okay, and I don't want to name it Pantone. I'll just call it, you know, brown, whatever. And if I click on that, notice that it is now a global color. It's no longer a spot color. If I go back in and I edit it and I turn off the global color and I click OK. So I based my color on a spot color, but converted it to a process color. And then by default, it made it a global color. And then I turned it into a local color. I don't know if I'm confusing you guys or not, but that's where we go with that. So the next thing that they want us to do here is that they want us to, we're going to affect and create, let me undo that. Let me go back. Because what I want to do is I want to take this color now and create a tint from it. You can do that. So if I make sure that I have the color selected and I close it, and then I come back up here, okay, I'm going to, let's see, select from, no, let me go back here. I'm going to double click on it just to see. And I don't want it to be process color. I want it to be spot color. And let's see, preview. And now what I need to do, color mode, lab colors. We're going to go back again. Click OK. So that's back again. Now what I need to do is I want to create what is called a tint of this. And I'm having troubles at the moment with this. So hold on 1 second. Let's click back here. No, sorry. Let me go back with this again. Let me click here because I already did this. So if I select this color here, you can see that I have this added. Now, if I double click on this, you can see that I have the lab color mode, spot color, but I have, it's a tint of it. It's just a slight, some white has been added. So I'm having troubles creating that. The tint. Why am I having troubles? Maybe because it was up here. No, here. There we go. There it is. There's the color that we have selected. So I was clicking on the wrong panel. Don't use it that often. So let's do that again. I'm going to come back. Let's do it for this one here. So we've got this one and this one. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to select, let's move this over, see a little bit better. With the color picker here, I'll go back and I'll select the brown. And let me deselect, select both of these. So I can do it all at once. Again, select the brown, close it, And then if I select up here, you'll notice that it shows that this is a Pantone color at 100%. If I want to go ahead and I want to create a tint of that, I can do so. So there it is at 60%. And I think that's about what they wanted, something around there, 60, 70%. Again, for our purposes, it's not that critical. And there it is. If I go back to color guide, we'll be getting to that soon as well. So there is a tint of that Pantone color. And again, I've shown you how we can convert that to process color if you wish. Because in the printing world, it does cost more to add spot colors. But they might give you a ballpark idea of what colors you might want. Somebody has called out and said, I want this to be as close to this Pantone 7562 coated as possible, but we're going to have to use process colors. So go ahead and you start with the Pantone color and then convert it. Okay. And the same is true is that when we're done with this, if you want, we can go back to our color palette and we can go ahead and hit the plus sign and add it. You can see that I've already added the Pantone color here. And I've left it a Pantone color, added it to our color palette. Now, one of the things that you might want to do, and that's what we've done in this lesson, is that you want to have a palette of colors. And I've done this as several times as an experiment, but how you do that is you take at the bottom here, and for color groups, and you just click on this little button here, and we'll call this skateboard, or no, snowboard group number 3, since I might already have some others. Now, if I click OK, you can pull it from selected artwork, or you can pull it from selected swatches. I'm not going to do either at the moment, but you can see of that selected swatches that brought that in. So let me deselect. If you want to bring other colors into your color group, whoops, where did I go here? There we go. So if I want to bring other colors in here, you just simply click and drag them. So if I wanted this pink color to be in that color group, I just click on it and drag it into the color group, and it adds it. If I want the light orange or an orange to be in that color group, I just click and drag and put it in there. So you can do it that way, or you can select them in advance. So let's go ahead and get rid of this again. So I'm deleting the color group, but let's go ahead and select all the colors that are in this particular illustration. Okay, so I've got all of them here, and I want to create a brand new color group from that. So if I click on here, I can say from selected artwork. That's one way of doing it. Or if I had selected swatches in that artwork, I could do that as well. So I'm using all of them. I click that, and you can see these are all the colors that are used in this particular piece of artwork. Quite a few colors. You might be surprised sometimes. So that's how that works. Okay. What else have we got for today? Converting colors, I did that. Copying appearance attributes, I did that using the eyedropper tool. One more thing that we want to do is we created a color group. I'm using color guide panel. So color guide panel, where the last thing that we want to do is we want to change the colors down here. So if I select this color, it will show me what color I have, which is basically a purple color on top of a purple color. But what if I want it based on a separate color? So I want to create a whole new color. So I'm going to select this color here on either side of the helmet. And what I want to do now is I want to select here from here. And you can see that this is using this color guide, this group that I created, and I don't want to do that, but it's using this as the key color, the one that I just selected. So I'm going to close this because I want it to be based on the other color group that I already created before that. So I want it to be on this color group right here. Actually, I'm going to use this one down here. Okay. So it's going to be based on this color group. So I'll go ahead and I'll close that. I have, again, I want to make sure that this color is selected. And now I use the color guide. And with this selected, I have a variety of ways that I can do this. Now, this is based on shades and tints of each of these. So here are each of the colors in my color group, and it will show me shades of those colors or tints of those colors. Instead, what I would prefer to do is I'm going to come up here and click on this little button. And you can see that for those of you who have had color theory, I can base it on complementary colors. I can use complementary 2. I can use split complements. I want, where do I want it? I want a right complement. I believe they want us to use a right complement. So I'll select right complement. So these are all the colors from a right complement. Now, if I want to add these colors, I can to my, and create a whole new color group from that. I can also, it will show me based on the key color here that if I want to create, for example, let's go ahead and deselect that and select this. Maybe I want a lighter green that's in there that was based on that color. And you can see that. I can click there. And it's not quite like the one in the finished version, but we can look at the finished version and see what they have. I'll select this one and I'll click this one. And I think this is the one that they want. So we're using this key color here. We're using the right-handed complements. And then as we use that as the key color, it will show us shades and tints, but also it will show them based on a right-handed complementary color group. Now, if I were to select any one of these other colors, notice that it's using that color now as our main color, and all of the tints and shades and right-hand complements are based on this key color. Okay, and as soon as you select that, you can always add that to your color group as well and add a brand new color. How am I doing on time? I think I'm going to call it quits for today. And tomorrow we will recolor the artwork in a slightly different fashion. So unless anyone has any questions, I'm going to call it a day, and we'll come back and let's look at for the start to end, start one. Whoops, let's look at the end. Start. Yeah, I used a slightly different green here, but you get the basic ideas here for that. Okay. And I may not have used the same, yeah, I guess I should have left Washington black. I can always go back and change that. I think we want it a little bit darker. I used the wrong color for the North Cascades. It's a little bit darker orange. But again, it's all very changeable and doable. The next one I think that we cover tomorrow will be surprisingly interesting for all of you. Really, really very nice. So lots of different ways of working with color. It's important to note, whether you're using CMYK or RGB, and that will depend on what it is you're designing. What will be the end result. If you're designing for print, you're going to be using CMYK. If you're also going to be designing for the web, you'll probably need to do a copy of that as RGB because there will be, in some instances, there will be no difference in the colors that you see. And in some instances, there will be significant changes in the color. There are limits to what colors you can make in CMYK. There are, whatever colors exist in the color spectrum and RGB are possible. So there are millions and millions of colors, and there are far less colors available for CMYK. Anyway, that's where we're at for today, and I will continue. I'm going to go ahead and end my recording. And unless there are any questions, we'll call it a day, and I'll be back tomorrow to finish up this lesson and to review some of what I've talked about today. Okay, any questions? No questions. Okay, good deal. So I'm going to say goodbye for today. And within an hour or so, I will have this posted on YouTube. That's it. Go ahead and pause recording.